West Asia witnessing those war clouds all over again. Messages, meetings, military maneuvers, each loaded with intent, it seems. Israel is saying Iran is preparing for a surprise attack. Iran insists its missile program is defensive and not negotiable. Our next story decoding whether Israel is preparing the ground for a fresh strike on Iran.
In the world's most volatile region, silence often hides the loudest warnings. Israel has sent a private signal to Washington. Iran's latest missile drills, it claims, might be more than just exercises. According to reports, Tel Aviv believes the display could mask preparations for a real strike, a diversion before deployment. Inside Israel, urgency is mounting. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to brief President Donald Trump during the US visit on December 29th on potential future strikes against Iran. Sources suggest this comes amid intelligence chatter about Tehran's growing missile capabilities and Israel's insistence that time is running out to act. Tehran rejects the accusation outright. It says the missile program is purely defensive, a shield, not a sword, and asserts it's not up for debate.
Iran's missile program was developed to defend Iran's territory, not for negotiation. Therefore, Iran's defense capabilities, designed to deter aggressors from any thought of attacking Iran, are not a matter open for discussion.
The words reflect a firm line drawn under sovereignty and security, even as Western analysts dissect new satellite imagery showing Iran testing long-range precision systems. Behind diplomatic channels, suspense runs high. Air bases across Israel remain on alert. Israel says Iran's ballistic missiles, along with its nuclear program, are the main threats it sought to neutralize during the 12-day war in June. Israeli estimates suggest Iran's monthly missile production could hit 3,000 units if left unchecked. If signals and shadows are any indication, both nations are now engaged in a strategic chess match, one played in secrecy, satellites and silence. A single launch, a single miscalculation could shift the balance across West Asia again. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Our next story is about two radio stations separated by miles, also by fate. They are in the news at the same time for very different reasons. One of them is Sri Lanka's iconic radio Ceylon service as it turns 100, and the other is Israel's army radio station as the Netanyahu government moves to shut it down. Two contrasting stories, one marked by continuity, the other seeing an end. Let's just break this down for you. Israel's cabinet voted on Monday to shut down a popular national radio station in a series of measures by the Prime Minister's right-wing coalition that the critics are seeing as major blows to democracy. The army radio goes back a long way. It has been broadcasting since the early days of the state. Army radio is among two state-funded news outlets in Israel, the other being the public broadcaster that operates a television news channel, several radio stations, and a popular digital platform. The defense minister proposed that army radio will be shut down by March 1, 2026. But why? He described this as an attempt to preserve the military's non-partisan character. He said in a statement, its original purpose had been to broadcast for Israel soldiers, but that with time it served as a platform for views that attack the Israel Defense Forces and the IDF soldiers themselves. He said an army-operated station broadcasting to civilians was an anomaly for any democracy. Critics, meanwhile, don't agree. They have denounced the move, saying it would harm free speech. Meanwhile, in a different part of the world, a contrast playing out. History was being celebrated as the Sri Lankan radio service turned 100 this week. It was officially launched on December 16, 1925. It was once popular across India as just Radio Ceylon, with a one-of-its-kind weekly countdown show of Hindi film songs, gaining massive popularity. It was on Radio Ceylon that for almost 4 decades, once every week, exactly at 8 p.m. sharp, thousands of Indians tuned in to listen to the iconic baritone voice of Amin Sayani, with millions of his listeners eager to know which songs would be featured on that listing. The iconic show was broadcast on the radio station, Radio Ceylon, from 1952 to 1988, and then it moved to Vivid Bharati service of the All India Radio in 1989 and ran there till 1994. Originally part of the Department of Telecommunications, the radio service was reorganized on October 1, 1949 as Radio Ceylon, and later on January 5, 1967. Then it was called the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And today, SLBC broadcasts 3 Sinhala, 2 Tamil, 1 English service domestically, alongside foreign services in Hindi, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. What started out as a night of celebration at one of Australia's most iconic beaches ended with unspeakable horror. And now new and disturbing details are surfacing about that deadly mass shooting. Australian authorities say the gunmen, a father and son identified as Sajid and Naveed Akram, spent months preparing for that attack. Investigators believe the pair targeted that Hanukkah event being held at that iconic beach, turning a public space into a site of terror and revealing that the two carried out firearms training in the New South Wales countryside in the run-up to that shooting. Images released by the authorities showing the pair firing weapons, moving in what the police described as a tactical manner, suggesting a level of planning and coordination rarely seen in such attacks. Court documents further disclosed photographs of homemade pipe bombs and CCTV footage showing the father and son scouting that beach days before the attack. Police saying they also made a nighttime reconnaissance visit to the area shortly before the shooting. Investigators also alleging that homemade pipe and tennis ball bombs were thrown into the crowd before the gunfire erupted, but failed to detonate. The shooting that followed has been described as the deadliest mass attack of its kind in Australia in nearly 3 decades. The attack has sent shockwaves through Australia and around the world and deeply traumatized the country's Jewish community. The Prime Minister has apologized publicly, acknowledging the fear and pain caused by the shooting and promised stronger action against extremism. Here's what he said.
A summary of the legislative measures that will be considered. Creating an aggravated offence for hate preaching, advocating violence against protected groups. Increasing penalties for existing offences for hate speech, advocating violence or property destruction against protected groups. Making hate motivation a factor in sentencing for Commonwealth crimes.
Meanwhile, the beach is slowly returning to a sense of normalcy. Visitors have been gathering at that memorial near the site of the attack, laying flowers, pausing in silence to remember and honour the victims.